All right, welcome back to season 6 of our show, and today it's steak, T-bones, and porterhouses, and we're cutting our own. Let's show you how to get this one done. So before we get into cutting this large piece of meat, we're going to show you our tools that we need. So we're going to need a hacksaw. This is a meat hacking saw. This will cut through various different meats. You're going to need a short butcher's knife and a honer. That's just to sharpen your knife and make sure that knife is sharp. Let's check out this meat. So right here we got 25 pounds worth of T-bone / porterhouse. And how do you know the difference? Let's just spin it around. Now a porterhouse would be the bigger loin meat. You could see it in the side, which is the fillet on this side. That would be the fillet part on here. And here is just the New York strip side. So you could see the loin come down here, and as it gets thinner at this section right here, where it's just a little piece, like there, where you have no fillet side on there, that would be a T-bone. Cheaper cut of meat, not as expensive as the larger meat because you don't have that fillet there. So what we're gonna do is get into this. So first thing I wanna do is cut this in half. So I'm gonna judge out where I need to cut this in the middle, and a good rule of thumb is take your hand, put it in the middle, pick where you think the middle of it is, which I think is right there. Now I'm gonna put an indent in the piece of the meat, and I'm gonna bring my index finger over, follow through. There it is, I'm spot on. I've been doing this for a lot of years, so I pretty much know where my cut is. So we're gonna take this off to the side, get it on the bench. Now through this is a big bone in the back here. We need to cut through that. So I'm gonna put this up on the bench. And the first thing I'm gonna do is sharpen my knife. I wanna make sure I got a good hone on this. I'm gonna wipe off any shavings on my knife, and I'm gonna feel down on that indent and make a good indent there. I'm gonna take my knife and cut through. And I'm gonna just follow the bone around this way. So I'm just gonna turn the piece of meat, just like that. I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm gonna cut all the way down to where I can't cut anymore. And I'm gonna turn it this way, come down that way. Now, some of you may not ever get a chance to do this, but if you do it, it's a good way of cutting your own steaks. And it's a good way of saving money, because once you buy in bulk like this, you might save $3, $4, even $5 a pound. And that's huge. All right, so I'm gonna take my saw, I'm gonna come in the middle, I'm gonna work my saw all the way down to the middle here, and I'm gonna start to saw. And as I'm starting to go to the bottom, I'm gonna start to lift up a bit. Just like this, and there it is. Little crack. I'm gonna separate like this. Get my blade out. And just clean up that edge with my butcher's knife. And there it is. Off camera, we go a little faster, but we're showing how to do it. So there you go. So I'm gonna take this end of the meat. I'm gonna put it over here because I wanna cut this again. All right, so you guys figured it out now? We're doing steaks. And now I'm cutting pretty thick steaks. So I want about that much on the steak. And I wanna be about there. Cut down again. Score it. Right down to the bone. Score this side. Cut through. You're gonna have to put some muscle in here. There we go. And now, I'm gonna get my blade in once more. All right, let's break the bone. And there it is. All right, so now I have two big, beautiful steaks. And that's it. Look at that steak. It's a lot of work, but have you butcher cut a steak like that? I don't think so. All right, I'm gonna cut the rest of these up, and we're gonna meet you right back here. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Okay, so now that we have these steaks cut up, I can show you, looking at the inside, the differences between the two steaks, and we're gonna clean these up as well. So right after you cut your steaks, the first thing you wanna do is just clean all your equipment. Now I didn't clean that yet, but a saw like this, the band is removable and comes right out of here. So I can take this blade right out of here to clean, and I can clean everything thoroughly because you do not want any kind of meat rotting on there, because next time you go to use it, if you get any rotten meat in there, it could just be a real bad day for you. So don't do that. Make sure you sterilize and wash all your equipment. All right, so take a look at these steaks. So let's hold up this one. Which one is that one? That's right, you guessed it. That's the T-bone. Why? Look at that little itty bitty fillet side there. So that's what you pay for. Look at that piece of meat on there. That is one heck of a fillet on that side. And that's what you pay for when you go for a porterhouse. You get what you pay for, and there it is. All right, so let's just clean these up. So the first thing you want to do, if there's any bone fragment here, take your knife and you're just going to scrape over the meat just like that. And this way you can just take off any kind of bone shavings that are in there. And this way you're not going to get any shavings on your meat. Now I already washed this, so I don't want to wet it again. So I'm just going to take my knife and scrape any shavings off of there, just like that, and just do both sides. And then when we do this, we're going to meet you right back here and show you how we're making these and how we cook something as large as these. And you're going to not want to miss this video, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, step one has been accomplished. We cut these steaks up, we cleaned them. Now we're showing you a salt brine. I'll show you how to get this done. So back in the day, salt was used for everything. And we're using it for a salt brine today because we want to take out some of the moisture in this steak. We're going to let it sit in the fridge for 2 days. Actually, we're going to let it sit for a day just to make sure we don't go over, because we have a very expensive cut of meat here. So we're just going to go like this with the salt. Now, a lot of people will buy dry aged steaks, and the price range it's not like this. They're a lot higher if you buy a dry aged steak. So I feel this is second to dry aged steak. I'm putting a lot of salt on here. I know it looks like a lot of salt. It is. I'm going to go even more with it. I'm going to pat it in just like that. And this is our salt brine. And what I'll do is I'm going to let it sit on its bone over here like this. So I'm going to let it sit on its bone. Once it starts to release its liquid, I don't want it to sit in its liquid. I want all that liquid to release. So I'm actually force aging this steak. And I'm going to let this sit in the fridge just like that, uncovered. Don't cover it. Nothing will get in it because the salt will keep all pathogens out of it. So here we go. Get it just like that. Now after we age this for a day, it goes on to a cold smoker. And what that's going to do is give us that nice, nutty, fruity flavor that you would get in a dry aged steak. And let me tell you something. I've fooled many with this technique. I've had people think it was a dry aged steak. And people that eat dry aged steaks and know dry aged steak, top-notch chefs, have been fooled by this. And you guys will share this luxury right in your own home. So here you go. I'm going to get that one over there. And then I'm going to get these two on as well. So like I said, just park them in the fridge. Look at the fillet side on that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. This is why I usually choose porterhouse over a T-bone, because you get the best of both worlds. All right, we're going to finish salting these up, and we're going to meet you guys right back here. Get onto the cold smoker with these, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, time to get these on the cold smoker. Look at these guys. So we're about to go in with them, but I want to show you that salt did its job. I mean, they're looking right. These are beautiful going on. Just want to show you all these before I put them on. Look at this guy. That's for boys right there. All right, let's get them in. Whew. That's a lot of smoke. That's how you want to put them. Don't let them touch. And place them apart from one another. Just like that. Let's just turn this off to the side. All right, we're gonna close up. I'm giving these a light amount of smoke. I'm going 1.5 hours to 2 hours on these, that's it. I want a very nutty flavor. That's what we're using today, pecan on these. And I want a very light hint of a nutty smoke on here. We'll see you back here, stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, it is the next day and the steaks are out of the cold smoker. Let's show you how to get these cooked up. All right, so now it's time to trim off the fat. I want you to take a look at these steaks. Look at the color of these. I'm gonna put this one onto the bench. And you see that? It almost looks like it's been in a room filled with cigarette smoke for a very long time. That was only an hour of smoke. I mean, I hit this hard with a lot amount of cold smoke. So now we need to trim this up. So let's take our knife. This is a boning knife. See all that fat that's around here? Now this was on the grill, I wouldn't trim it up, but the way we're cooking this tonight, we are frying this, and it's going under the broiler, so we're gonna cut a lot of this off. So I'm just gonna come here and just get a nice layer of that fat out of here. Just like that. Now I'm gonna discard this fat just because it's smoky. And right now it's not winter time, so I'm not making any soups or anything, and I don't wanna freeze it. So I'm just gonna discard it. So look at the fat around here. So you want it about there. I'm gonna take my knife and just trim that up. And just get it about there. And that's it. I'm not gonna go any more on that side. And this side, I'm not gonna do anything at all. I'm just gonna leave it. All right, I'm gonna put this one off to the side, but that's the way you wanna trim that for indoor cooking, which we are cooking this indoor. I'm gonna say it again. All right, so I'm gonna trim this one, just like that. And just expose just a little bit of the meat. You can see if you have to. Look how thin that is, where you're almost looking at the meat. See how thin that is? And just trim it up. Again, I'm gonna go on the top. I'm gonna trim this just like that. Look around, I'm not gonna touch this side. Now this is the T-bone side. And look at that little tiny little piece of filet there. It's nothing there. Now look at this one. You gotta see a whole filet there. And now these are the ones over here. We're gonna cook those up over the weekend. They're gonna hang out for another 2 days because we're gonna show you how to cook those up outside. All right, so we got this nice and trimmed, and I am happy with that. And there you have it. Now I want you to see something on here. If this was a dry aged steak, you would lose a lot more. A dry aged steak, you lose about 20 to 30% of your product. So that means you would have to chop this off. So if you had a 10-pound steak, and let's just use 20% for example, that's 2 pounds. That's how much meat you're losing. I didn't lose any meat on this. I left a lot of fat on here, but this is why I don't believe in dry aging, because you just lose way too much of the product. And the dry aged steak costs about 30 bucks a pound, and you have to throw away 2 pounds of it. At $30 a pound, you just threw $60 worth of meat in the garbage. I don't believe in that. All right, that's it. All right, we're gonna get these back in the fridge, show you the rest of the meal to go along with this, so stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, so our steak is nice and trimmed up, and now we're showing you a lovely shrimp salad to go along with it. So nothing says steak like surf and turf, so we're showing you some potatoes right now. We're gonna actually stick these in the microwave for about 13 minutes. Everybody's microwave is different, but you wanna just get them soft, and we'll show you what to do with these later on. So here are our shrimp. I normally go with 1620s. I'm bringing in a pot. Now, if you guys don't have a steamer, I want to show you something. This is just a basket I had laying around the house from an old fryer. So I always save stuff like this. I don't throw it away. Check this out. Got some forks in here. Just throw them in the bottom here, just like that. You're going to put your steamer on the top, and then you just put enough water just to come right up to the steamer on the top. And then you'll put your shrimp in. That's it. Put the lid on it, just like that. And then let them steam for about 3 minutes until they're nice and pink. And we'll show you that on the stove. So onto the stove we go. All right, so I see some steam coming up off of our forks that we put in here. And by the way, you could use rocks in the bottom, use some aluminum foil. The bubbles are from the shrimps that I had in here already. They just kind of released a little water down there. And this will bubble up on you as well too. So it won't go over because we have a little bit of water on the bottom. So see, it's not coming up. So they're not submerged in the water. And let's put the lid back on. And we'll leave these here until they're nicely pink. So then we're gonna fill this up with some water. This way we cool them off. We'll go right in here with some cool water. We'll meet you right back here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, this was clocked at 4 minutes. That's what it took on my steamer. Now this is the first time I made this homemade steamer, but on my other steamers it takes about 7 minutes. So it's a very light pot. I'm gonna take it right out of here. I'm gonna go right into the water with it, just like that. And that's it. We're gonna drop those in the fridge, and we're gonna meet you back here and finish this meal up. Stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, we got our shrimp out of the fridge. They're chilling out. Now it's time to show you how to put this gorgeous salad together. So we're making a kale shrimp salad. Let's take a look around. Check this out. This is kale. It's been washed, sat in water for about 20 minutes. We soaked all the sand out of it. We chopped it into little pieces here. Chop them as big as you want, make it yours, but that's how I did mine. I dried it and it's sitting in the spinner here. Here are shrimp. We wanted a wow feature with these, so we left the tails on. So if you want a wow feature and you really want to wow the crowd, leave the tails on for this salad. We got a lemon here. We're going with some lemon zest. We're using a horseradish today, so we're going to get started on the horseradish. So let's just get this in a bowl. Now I'm using a good amount of this because it's basically the star of the show here. So it's going to be a horseradish dressing. Now, I like shrimp. I love horseradish, so I'm using a lot of it. Make it yours. Use as much or as little as you want. We're going with a zester today. We're going to just zest a lemon. Just like that. Just to bring that little lemony flavor in. So we're just going to zest a lemon and get it in there. Just use the yellow part. Don't use the white part because it will get a touch bitter on you. But if you get a little bit in, no big deal. All right, so I'm going to get some of that in. The lemon itself, I'm going to just cut the tip off. You can see the first seed there. And I'm just going to squeeze. This way I make sure that one seed is out of it. And this is all the lemon I need for this. That's it. You just want a hint of it there. You don't want it very lemony. Olive oil. I'm going to go in with a real good amount of that. Here's some black pepper. If you guys are using a pepper mill like this, a lot of people don't know this, that you could adjust how the pepper comes out. If you tighten down on this, you get a really fine pepper that comes out. If you loosen up just on the top just a little bit, you'll get a heavier one. And if you loosen up pretty much all the way, watch how heavy it comes out. It comes out in bigger pieces, so you can adjust the gauge of your pepper just from that. All right, there we go. We're going to give this a whisk. Just like that. And get it whisked up good. Now this goes a long way. You see that? See how thick it got? So now I'm going to go with a little bit more of the olive oil. Because I don't want it as thick. I want this to coat beautifully. And keep my flavor there as well too. Now we're not going to add any salt to this. Look how thick that is. It almost just doubles in size. Look at that. See? That's how you want that. It's a nice horseradish flavor there. Now I'm going to go in with just a touch of white wine vinegar. We're just going to loosen that up a bit, just to bring a little acidity in there. I'm going to judge it out from here. I'm going to go a little bit more. And there it is. That's all I want. So now it's loose enough to actually coat our salad. All right, so now I'm gonna get this off to the side. I'm gonna bring in a bowl. I'm gonna get some salad in here. Now I'm gonna make one bowl at a time. So I'm gonna judge it out, and I want everything to go in this bowl right here. I'm gonna use about half of this. That's gonna look pretty in that bowl. Let's get some tomatoes in there. Some nice cherry tomatoes on the vines. Let me get a couple of more. Throw him in. And that's about enough for one. I got some olives. Now all these ingredients, please, feel free to make them yours. So I like a lot of olives in there. I'm going in with red onion. Now look at the way I slice these. Oops, I'm going to drop back those and just break these. I slice them into very, very thin pieces, so you don't want to overpower the salad with a bunch of big pieces. And I'm keeping this salad pretty much classic. This is salad that was back in the days. I don't see this anymore, but every steakhouse served something like this back in the 70s, and you don't see this around anymore. And the reason why I know that, because my dad back in the days when he first started out, he used to waiter for high-end restaurants, steakhouses. He was a big guy, and they loved having a big guy in a steakhouse because he'd carry those platters, and that's what he did. All right, so let's get some of this in. Here's that nice sauce that we made, or a nice vinaigrette. All right, and now we're just gonna give it a toss with our hands, just like that. You don't want to wet this too much. And the reason why you don't want to wet it too much is because we got shrimp going in, and we want to taste our shrimp. See that? Go about there with the shrimp. It's about half the amount. And we're just gonna give this a toss, just like that. And that's it. It's a very easy salad to make, and it packs a lot of flavor, and it's kind of left in its natural form here. So there it is, and you can always freshen this up with a little bit more olive oil at the end. I'm gonna move this off to the side, bring in a glass bowl, and show you this what it looks like, bowled up and plated up. So here we go. All right, look at that. Doesn't that look gorgeous? And I'm serving it in a glass, almost like a cocktail. I'm gonna take it straight to the top. This is just gonna serve one. And if you want, you can hang the tail off to the end like that, around the bowl for a couple of them, just for that effect. This way it kind of looks like a cocktail. And just put some more on the top. And there you have it. That is a beautiful salad. And a healthy one too. So we're just having steak, a little potato, and we're having a nice healthy shrimp salad with this. So this serves one person, believe it or not, in my house. And there you have it. All right, we're gonna get organized, finish these two salads up, and we're gonna meet you guys right back here and show you the rest of this meal, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, so we got that beautiful salad done. Now it's time to do up these potatoes. So right here I have two large potatoes, and I put these in the microwave like we said earlier, and you just want them to the point where they're just soft. And now we're just gonna cut them in half, like this. And that's how you want them. And now we can fry them up very easy. I'm gonna cut this one. Now if you want, you can cut them in other ways. You don't have to cut them like this. So if you guys want, you can cut them almost like a steak fry. So what I'll do is I'm gonna cut them again this way. So this would be like a really nice healthy steak fry. And I'll do this one. Just let your knife do the work. And then now we're gonna get these nice and jazzed up. So we're gonna do them up with some seasoning. right, so I'll put this off to the side, and I'm gonna get them all onto our little tray. So I'll just start with these, just like that. Garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. That's all I'm using. I'm just gonna roll them around from side to side in there like that. And that's it. I'm gonna do the rest of these and we'll meet you onto the stove. Get them fried up. Don't go anywhere. All right, so we have some extra virgin olive oil heating up on the stove, and I'm just gonna start dropping these guys in. Just like that, and watch your fingers. Now if you want, you guys can put them on a spatula like this and just go down like that. They're not gonna roll on you because they're stuck on that side. So just get them in like that. And this pan will hold a lot of them. And the nice part about these is you could just roll them over like that. All right, I'm gonna drop the rest of these in. We'll meet you back here. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, so we're just frying these down. These have been on now for about 7 minutes. And I'm gonna go about there with them. You see that? So let's just get this guy out right here. And that's how you want that. And as they all start to get done, just take them on out. And then what I'm gonna do in a second is I'm gonna hit that one with a little salt. See, just check them and roll them over. I'm using 2 spatulas till you're done this. I did all the backs and they're nice and crispy, all the skin. They're like a beautiful potato skin. And I'm just rolling them over like that. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna get these out of here and then we're moving on to those steaks. We're gonna fire those guys up and show you how to get those guys done. Stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, it's showtime. We have 4-inch steaks here, and we need to show you technique to cook these properly so you don't ruin a very expensive steak. This is gonna separate the men from the boys, so let's show you how to get this one done. All right, first off, let's take a look at these steaks. Like I said, 4 inches, here we go, spot on. Look at them, both of them, 4 inches thick. So that's no joke. All right, so what you're gonna need is some oil. I got avocado oil. And the reason why we're oiling these is because when these hit that pan, you want this not to stick to the pan. So you're gonna oil your steaks first. Yes, you're gonna oil them. I'm gonna oil all sides of these. And I'm using avocado oil because I got an extremely high smoke point on here. So let's get this oiled up. And these smell wonderful. You could smell the smoke coming off of these things. It's permeating them. So we hit these with a good smoke, a nice good cold smoke. And by the way, you can skip that part. Do exactly what we're doing without the cold smoke and they'll still come out fabulous. All right, so we got these done. Right here, this is an aluminum pot. I've got beef tallow inside here. We want to put the steak in here. We want to brown all the sides. I'm going to put the lid on. And once the lid's on, you're going to be cooking from the inside out. And we got these plates over here. These are broiler plates. They're gonna be on standby with some butter. All right, onto the stove we go. All right, time to go in for it. I see it smoking just a little bit, and I'm gonna put them in now. Nice and easy. I'm gonna have to get my blower on, so you guys won't be able to hear me. But we're going in with both of them, then I'm going to get my blower on. All right, we got touchdown. So we're going about 2 or 3 minutes on each side. We're going to keep turning until we get the desired crust that we want. And then we're going to put them on their bones, and we're going to cook them on their bones because we want to protect the rest of the meat. And that's what we're looking for. All right, we'll meet you right back here. Don't go anywhere. All right, I'm about 2 minutes in. I'm gonna rock this pan. And now I'm gonna move these over onto the other side. I'm gonna work with my bone because my bone is not hot. So I'm gonna get them on this side. Being careful not to splash. And look at that cross. So we're doing pretty good. I'm gonna keep them on this side a couple of minutes. I'm gonna brown all the sides and get this to look like that fillet part right there. So this part has to look like that at the end. And there we have it. We'll meet you back here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, I'm still rocking this pan. This is what you want to do. Believe it or not, the stove is on high. It's wide open. And I'm still working with them. All right, so now I'm going to get them over onto the side. I can no longer touch them anymore because they're going to be real hot. Let's bring in my tong and get them over. Protecting this belly part, I'm keeping this against the wall. Fillet part. So we're keeping the fillet against the wall. And I need to pass these. I need to get them by each other. So I'm going to turn this one around. All right. And we got touchdown. All right, I'm gonna get my blower back on. I'm gonna get them back over on this side again. See how they're looking? I'm not pleased with that. I want a nice char on here. So I'm gonna let them go until that nice char comes on, then I'm gonna turn them back over, and then we're gonna get the lid on. Right now I got the oven going at 350 degrees. I'm gonna finish these off in the oven until we get the right temperature. Right now I'm feeling, and right now they're there in the middle. No thermometer, I don't want to poke these. The minute you put a hole in here, it completely changes the game. And then you're going to let all that juice come out and you're not going to get a good steak. This is why a lot of people might probe them. I never probe my steaks because you'll poke a hole in here and it's a game changer. You're just going to let all the water and the juices evaporate and run out of that steak. You're going to let every juice run out of that steak and you're not going to be happy with that steak. So I don't ever probe my steaks. Meet you right back there. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're leaving. I'm gonna shut this blower off. I want this fillet side to stay outside the pan. I don't want it directly in the middle of this pan. So what I'm gonna do is get this guy up and over again. See that nice crust? I gotta come over one more time before I go in the oven with it. So up against the wall, and I'm gonna take this one here, work with this one. Look at that, that's a beautiful crust. And again, let's turn it up on here, and let's get it over again, and this one up against the wall. Now I want you to see something. I'm gonna rock this pan. This is the way I'm positioning my steak on the eye. So I have my eye here, and I'm working with my eye to control what amount of heat I want onto this steak from the pan. So I want this fillet side up against the wall. This is the T-bone side. There's a very little itty bitty piece of fillet there. Might as well just be a New York strip. So I'm working with it. I'm still wide open on high. All right, I'm gonna finish this up. I'm gonna flip it on the other side again. We're gonna leave it just like that. I think I'm pleased with that. And I might do this side up on the fat side, crisp that up, and that's it. I'm gonna stay away from that fillet side. I can feel that now. And I can feel by touch where I'm at. I'm looking right. I might not even have to put these in the oven. I might just put the lid on it and call it a day. Drop it down on low. And that's it. Cook them right here on the stove from start to finish. We'll meet you right back here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right. Let's get it up. Take a look. That's looking right. I'm very pleased with that. And now I'm going to just get it over onto the side again because I'm not pleased with that side. And what do we got on this side? Let's see what we're working with before I have to get my blower back on. Oh, there we go. All right, so I'm going to turn it over on this side for 2 more seconds because I'm not happy with that side. And there we go. I'm going to leave it there on a couple of seconds on that side. And again, I'm going to work with my pan. Rock the pan. I'm going to hold this guy up. I'm going to rock this pan because I want that oil even heat. I don't want hot spots on here. Let me get my blower on. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to get this over again on the side. But I want you guys to see this. So I'm going to turn it this way right at you. See that? That's looking right. Let's turn them this way. And now, I'm going to determine which side to finish off on. And I'm going to finish off on this side. And this one here, looking right. I'm going to finish off on this side. You can see the blood coming to the bone there. So what I'll do is I'm going to drop them onto the main bone, like that. And now the rarest part of the meat, I'm going to start to distribute the heat from the bone in. There we go. So like that. There you have it. I'm going to turn my heat down because I want this now to cook a little slower. So now I'm going to cook it from the bone in. Then I'm going to put the lid on, drop them back down. I'm going to find the side. I'm going to find the side that is not as beautiful. And I'm going to put them on that side and get a nice coating on that side. But look at that. You can't go wrong with this. This will definitely compare with your high-end restaurant. If you guys ever ate at Ruth's Chris, this is no comparison. This will take them right out. All right, we'll meet you right back here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're going to jack this down on medium heat. And watch what we do. Drop this down. I'm going to keep my fillet to the outside. Right there. Just like that. I'm going to drop it down on low. Get the lid on. I'm going to finish it off on the stove. Change my mind. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right. Time to pull these. Look at those. Let's see what I got going on here. Look at that. Look at that crust on there. Phenomenal. I'm going to leave it on the bone. And I'm going to get this up. And I'm going to leave this big boy on the bone. Just for a couple of seconds. till I get situated here. All right, I'm gonna kill my heat. Give them a couple of seconds on the bone. I did not probe these. I'm gonna take my hands and I'm gonna quickly feel. I'm right on, spot on the money. All right, let's get these out. 2 plates, butter, that's softened butter. Let's get that right on there. Because we want the butter to mix with all that beautiful steak juice. And let's get this guy on there. There you have it. All right, we're gonna let these guys rest up for about 10 minutes. We're not gonna touch them. Let all those juices recirculate, and then we're gonna cut them on the table for you guys and show you what we're working with. So stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, here we are, season 6's chopping block, porterhouse steak and T-bones. Show you what we got. Check these guys out. Beautiful. Now I put that butter down on the tray, on the plate here, and that's that butter just setting in here, and the steaks are starting to actually melt into the butter, and all those flavors are setting in. So that's how you want to present that, like that. And look at that beautiful salad we have here, the shrimp salad. That's ready to go. Can't wait to get into this one. And then those outstanding potatoes. Look at those guys. They're looking right. All right, so let's get into this. I'm gonna try this big old porterhouse first. So the way you would cut into this, I'm gonna show you now. You would take your knife and take a fork. Just follow around the bone. Just like that. And you would just follow the outside of the steak. And there you have it. All right, look at that. Beautiful. I think that's pretty much spot on. All right, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna keep following the outside. So I'm gonna cut some pieces. Now, if you didn't want this rare like this, so a little bit past medium, you can put this under the broiler for just a couple of seconds. And it'll just fix things right up. So we're just gonna cut all of these down, just like a steakhouse. Just like that. Just cut them thin enough. And look at the juice. So it's gonna make its own juice in here. And just stick it right in there and cut this one down. All right, so we'll put this back together. So you're gonna get it all back together. Just like that. Leave the end cap down. And let's look at that fillet side. Again, follow around the bone. I'm gonna get as tight as I can get it. I'm using a fillet knife. I'm gonna cut it like that and just cut down the side this way. I'm gonna spin this plate around for you in a second here, but now this steak serves one in my house. That's right, one. Let's spin this back around and tighten up the plate. All right, we're just gonna clean that plate up. There you have it. And just for a little garnish, let's just fold that back up. I'm gonna decorate just a little bit of kale right on the side of the plate there. Just bring in a little greenery right there. And now you have steakhouse status. And then for the other one, I'll just put that right there and back. And there it is. All right, let's get into it and give this a shot. So I'm gonna try a piece from the middle here. I'm gonna get it in some of that butter. Let's give this a shot. Tender, juicy. It has a slight nutty flavor to it. So from the salt cure, you don't need to even put any salt on here. It is perfect, outstanding. If you're gonna compare this to a dry aged steak, I almost feel like this one beats it. It's better, it's a better steak. Is the steak itself, the quality of the steak, is that better than a dry aged steak? I don't think so. I think by dry aging it, it gets a little bit more tender, like butter, especially on the New York strip side. It's very, very tender when it's dry aged. But this, for the money, you're not gonna beat that. Let's try the filet side. That just melts in your mouth. Outstanding steak. What more can I say? Cooked perfectly. All right, let's try that salad. Let's get a little kale in there, and we're gonna get a shrimp to go along with that. That horseradish is what you need in a salad like that. It tastes extremely fresh. You can taste the garbanzo beans, the olives. The kale gives that perfect bite, especially when you cut it up that small. It's just perfect. It goes great with that salad. It is the perfect salad. All right, let's try those potatoes. Look at these guys. They just break right open, so crispy. They're almost like potato skins. Give that texture and feel. The perfect potato to round off a perfect meal. It's creamy, it's crunchy on the outside. Can't ask for a better potato. All right, we're gonna get organized. We're gonna meet you guys right back here, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, and there it is, one outrageous steak dinner. And we threw down with a outrageous salad with a horseradish dressing on there. Had to have some shrimp along with this beautiful steak. Hope you guys enjoyed this steak. Pan fried to perfection. If you want it a little bit more well done, under the broiler it goes on those same plates. And we finish this meal off with a beautiful potato, fried potato, and olive oil, and seasoned perfectly. We hope you guys learned a little something about cutting steaks up and steaks themselves. We enjoyed you coming as usual, and with no further ado, gotta get that last Pitmaster taster.